Hi, so this is a video for those of you who are wondering, what can you really actually learn from being blind or visually impaired? And just in general, like if you have been through something difficult and you haven't really realized what you've learned because everything is a lesson, maybe you could take something out of it. And the first thing I've learned is adapting to your surroundings, adapting to your situations. For instance, you're in school and everyone is looking at the board and is trying to figure out a problem, and you're like, I can't see the board and I can't do it. You have to find a way to figure it out yourself. And there may be tools at your disposal, but the best way for me that I had to do it is memorizing everything, writing everything, and then just eliminating the things that I didn't need and figuring it out myself. Also in environments. For instance, I don't have a map where I can't get to one place to another, in which now there's Google Maps and now there's other apps that can help you. But when there wasn't, and I'm in a new city or town and I didn't know about any of this stuff. So always having to be oriented or where I'm at, memorizing every street, trying to memorize every turn, every detail was always necessary. And I'm pretty sure everyone is always adapting to your surroundings. You're always trying to figure out how can you fit in, how can you figure out your own problems. This has led me to always think on my feet and always be ready to have a plan no matter where I'm at and how to figure it all out. Which leads me then to number two, which is responsibility. I always have to be responsible for anything that I do and have a schedule on the things that I'm going to do today, where I'm going to go today. Being really young, that's what I've been doing. I think around junior high, high school, I had a plan when I could go print out my stuff, homework before class. So I had to be half an hour early before everybody else so I can print all my homework out. I had to organize it all, which I'm pretty sure everyone has to organize your own stuff. And I always had to know all the worksheets that I needed, everything I needed for class. I had to ask, what am I going to need? What notes am I going to need? And while you're in college, you have to plan out your test. So you have to pick a date on when you want to take it. Because if you don't, no one's going to plan it for you. No one's going to have anything ready for you. It's just going to you're just going to miss your time, your deadline. Which then leads me to number three, and it's asking for help. So I always had to ask for help on my materials, what I needed, and what format I wanted to use, large print, braille, any of that kind of stuff. And asking for help is the hardest thing. I don't know if it's just me or is it for everyone else, but it takes a lot of pride out of you in a sense. But then once you get it all done, it's like, oh, it wasn't a big deal. But first, I always like to try it first, see if I could do it myself, and just give me the opportunity. And then if I can't do it, then yes, asking for help is something that I'm always gonna have to do. And in a sense, it makes you can meet people because you ask, and who knows, you might even meet a friend because of that. And also, speaking up for myself was something that also had to be learned, and I actually am learning it, and like just knowing what your boundaries are and where you stand. Because when I was younger, I was a pushover, and people would just tell me things, say stuff, do this, do that, get this done. And I'd be like, okay, sure, I'll try. And sometimes it was too much to handle, and I didn't know when to draw the line, when to say, you know what, I can't do this. Or people would just yell at me or give me an attitude, and I would just take it. When instead I could have been like, you know what, be quiet or shut up, don't talk to me that way. And in a sense, it's not something mean, but it's something where you have to like stand your ground, because if you don't, it's going to keep happening. And that's what I learned. And thinking back, I don't know why I was so quiet and shy and I didn't want to speak up for myself when I could have. It would have saved me the trouble of dealing with it all. And number four, seeing everyone as equals evens out the field. Because right now you see that everyone is just divided. You are better than me, or I'm better than you, and you're disabled, you're not disabled. And also gender is still being playing a big role. Now women are becoming more empowered or doing more things the same as the men, but it's still very what's the word, diverse, I think, or very broken apart, that people are still dealing with these things. Whereas if everyone viewed everyone the same, and everyone with being able to have the job if they have the skills, regardless of their gender, race, or disability, we wouldn't be having this problem. And it just made me more empathetic or compassionate towards everyone, just knowing, trying to get into their shoes and being like, okay, you know what, I know this person doesn't want me to see them that way because I don't want to be seen that way. Your parents and people in school or teachers will always be like, oh, treat everybody how you want to be treated. But even teachers don't treat you how they want to be treated, or they treat you differently. So that type of lesson would be good for everyone to learn. And number 5, not caring what people think is something that I want to work on, and I think I'm getting better at, and trying to know that all the people out there are just strangers. Strangers that you're running into, people that are just judging you from the outside. They don't know your story, they don't know who you are, and a lot of people will never get that you are more than what they see. They weren't taught, they don't know, and some people might not even care about blind people or want to learn about blind people or have the time to do it. But there's others that do. And those who want to learn and want to educate themselves, then great, because it's a big old step into something new, a big old step to expand the knowledge. And not only that, like, I don't care what someone thinks about my shoes, and I don't care what people think about my clothes, because we all have different perspectives and tastes on what we like and dislike. You can't get someone be like, "Oh, you like the color blue? Then you better come over here and like the same color as me." What if they just like the color red, or what if they like pizza instead of sandwiches? It's cool having commonalities and similarities, but why do you want to drag people to force them to have your beliefs, force them to have your views? Why can't you have a conversation that can lead to passing one knowledge to one another and learning from each other? And number 6, listening. People listen, but not as great as you think they're listening to you. People are looking at you, but they could be zoning out. They could be like, what am I gonna do next time? Or you can be talking about something like, oh, today I had a good day, and then I went to the mall and I found this beautiful shirt, and they could be nodding their head, but they're like, oh my gosh, when is this gonna be over? Whereas when I listen, I have to listen because that's all I got. I can't be like, oh, making eye contact and be like, oh, sure, I had to be like listening to their whole story, and then I get to say, oh, yeah, really, or comment on what they're saying. And I like listening and just like having an input and trying to figure out what they're talking about, and maybe it's a topic that I like. And I like learning from other people, and I like knowing what they want to say and what they want to get out, or what ideas they want to share. And I have to do a lot of listening, listening to cars, listening to traffic, listening to lectures, just listening to the world practically is what I have to do. And it's a good skill because once you listen to someone, you could have better communication, you could talk to them more, you could be like, figure out the topic that they're gonna like and you're gonna like, which then can lead to a good relationship with that person. Instead, when people zone out, they just want to finish the conversation and then go on with their life and just do whatever they want, or just, I don't know. I just don't like when people zone out on me, so I wouldn't want to zone out on anybody else. I think it's annoying when someone wants to be heard and you're not listening, or you want to be heard and then you get mad because they don't listen to you. And number 7, being introspective. I have a lot of time to think about what has happened in my life and what I've learned from it, and just how can I incorporate all these lessons into my life, or how can I help everyone else because of what I've been through. And also thinking, what do I want to create later in the future, and just tuning into how do I feel all the time. I think it's an asset to have because many people don't focus on that, and they just want to keep going, moving, one thing to the next, like always busying their mind with different things, like if you're not doing anything, I'm gonna put the TV all loud, I'm gonna listen to music, I'm gonna go out and buy something, or I'm gonna go hang out with friends. Things that will distract you from yourself and what you need to do to get better or just to relax. And number 8, realizing that disability is not a punishment, but it's a hidden gift in disguise. If you can't realize it, then that's going to be a difficult journey, because if you don't realize it and you're still lingering on what could have been or how your life would have been if you didn't have what you had, then that's just going to hold you back. Because of this, I know it's made me stronger and it's made me a more generous person. It's made me like being able to take on a lot of things that I probably would never have thought I could have handled. There were some situations that I thought that I couldn't handle, and I actually got through them, and it's something that I'll never forget. I bet we could all relate on that. Like, aren't you impressed that you overcame something and like, holy shit, I can't believe it. I overcame this and I got through it. I guess I could say in a sense that I actually chose this life and I chose to be blind or visually impaired, and I know it won't fit in your what your beliefs are, but it doesn't matter because this is what I think. And by saying that I chose it, it kind of gives me the power. I am creating my life and I'm choosing this life for myself, and no one's going to make it better but me. And I can take lessons from what I've been given, or just be upset and sad and blame the whole world for what happened to me. I don't know who I would be if I could actually see. And honestly, I used to wonder and think about how it would be and how easy it would be, but now I think like, well, what does it matter? That life is not actually happening right now, so I'll just leave it alone. I've met a lot of great people. I actually seen people be so kind and generous, and I never focused on bad people that did bad things to me or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that I get to see the good side of the world, and I get to see what I can see. Like a little bit of what I could see is great. I love seeing the blue sky, the sunshine, the trees, everything. I could appreciate that. And number 9, learning to be in the now and enjoying the moment that you have, because you never know what could happen the next day. So always live like you were to die tomorrow, or have a great time. Do kind deed for someone when they're in the street. Be generous, and don't waste your time and energy on things that you don't enjoy. And this lesson I'm still learning, living in the now. Like every time I just don't focus on my mind and I don't listen to the thoughts that I'm having, man, it feels good. I don't feel stressed. I don't feel like I need to be anywhere. I can just be at home or be outside. It's more enjoyable to live life fully in the moment instead of like always thinking ahead, always thinking behind, backwards, and around in circles. I'm learning to put my energy on what I want to create and put time into things that I want to manifest in my life, instead of like trying to think about why this person did this to me, or why did I say that? That was stupid, or why did I do that? I feel like there's no time for that. And finally, number 10. Listening to my intuition is something that I am grateful for, because I always feel into situations and things, and it's led me to a lot of good things. Like, I just noticed, like, when I ask myself, should I do this? I get this knot in my stomach, or should I do that? And it feels better. Like, yeah, go ahead, do it. Or even dating, like, is this guy right for me? Or is this guy not right for me? And you just could tell, and you just have a compass that is leading you everywhere you go, and just listening to the feeling, even about people, like reading people, knowing like, is this person nice or is this person mean? Like, everyone has this. When you're talking to someone and you're like, oh my god, this person doesn't even care, or kind of, you can tell when someone doesn't like you or doesn't want to talk to you, and when someone does, you're just so looking forward to a conversation and just hanging out with that person. Before, I always used to think with my head and logically, like, what would happen if this? And now it's like, I just feel my way through situations, instead of like, if this happens, this would happen. But I also use logic as well, but I use both hand in hand. And it usually works. If you give it a try and sit down for a bit and just ask yourself, should I do this or should I do that? And then focus on how you feel and follow whatever impulse comes up next. And making this video was very empowering for me, just knowing all the things that I've learned because of my visual impairedness or blindness. It was very helpful for me. Hopefully, it was helpful for you. And if you have any like disabilities, any difficulties, or just thinking about your own circumstance that you're going through, try and find those pros to your situation, because the only person that could empower you is yourself. And if you there's always people that are going to help you, but you have to reach out and ask for help. And I hope I didn't talk too much, and I'll see you in the next video.